Welcome everybody. For some of you, maybe the screen is just loading. So I would please kindly ask you, if you can, to share your screen so we can just, for a fraction of a moment, to see who is here with us. Yes, see a lot of familiar faces, many students, many colleagues from the university, many other contacts from many other places in the world. Okay, this is nice. Hi, Sophie. Hi, Morten. Hi, Jessica. I hope everybody's doing fine and everybody is safe. We're just gonna take a little moment here so that everybody is admitted into the call and that everybody has access to this launch of our game, ØkoEngineer. We have kept it Danish a little bit. Well, I'm Serena here, or Serena for the Southern Europe, one of the project managers here at engineering department and part of the working team for this sustainability learning platform for engineering students at this stage. I'm very happy to see everybody joining. I'm still admitting people. We would expect somewhere between 80 to 100 people to join. That was the sign-up list. So I'm going to keep an eye on the participant list from now and on. Well, very briefly, I'm going to take you through the agenda of the day, and we will split the day in two parts. So the part one is where we are already now. We will have a quick opening from our head of department, Lars, my big boss. And then we have Dev, who's also one of the core team members of ØkoEngineer. Dev will present us a few ideas on research and education on sustainability in our department. Then our two student assistants, Jana and Haitham, will demonstrate how ØkoEngineer, the game, looks. We have Onshape, which is a great sponsor of multiple student platforms related to the game again. They will show us how many opportunities the students will have if they sign up for the game. And then SetSnail, which is the development company of the game, will present the future projects that the game can have. So please, all the corporates and companies participating in this call, be very attentive to find out how your project, your company projects, can be present in the game. We will have a little 10 minutes there where you can get some coffee, some tea, some water, whatever you're having. And then we come back to the second part, and that would be approximately 10 minutes to 3 or 3 p.m. We have kept that flexible. We have a 20-minute panel discussion there where members from academia, members from funding institutions, members from the industry, and of course local entities from the government will be present. We will have here a discussion on how we can strengthen the ecosystem for more sustainability education and engineering. So there will be some time at the end where we can address a lot of questions from the participants. Afterwards, we have Camilla and Runa, who are researchers and consultants for our learning platform in the university. They will present some other needs and possibilities for research in the topic. And then we will close the day with Susanne, who's the program manager from the Climate Initiative, Aarhus University, to share the university vision on such an area. Few closing remarks from myself and Lars again, and then we will take some questions if it's needed from the participants. The rule of the day will be that if you have questions throughout the program, I will keep an eye on the chat, and if time promises within each speaker, I will direct the questions immediately at the end of the presentation. And if the time doesn't promise, then I will take the questions into a form and then distribute the answers to the participants afterwards. Now I'm gonna shortly give the word to Lars. Lars, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Department of Engineering. We are a modern department in a recently formed Faculty of Technical Sciences, and we are extremely occupied with the United Nations Sustainability Goals. In a true engineering approach, you can relate at least a handful of these sustainability goals directly to engineering disciplines, but a lot of the other ones also relate in a more indirect way to what we do as engineers. So the true spirit of engineering in our department is to solve problems and create opportunities, and very much so in relation to these sustainability goals. But another important element that is critical for us is also to train and educate our engineers in understanding the problem. So there's a long way from the formulation of the sustainability goals into immediate action on solving relevant problems and creating the right opportunities. So this is a critical part of our engineering programs and the way we educate and train our engineers, that is in understanding the problem. So it's the interpretation of the overall overarching goals in the sustainability goals into relevant and critical problems to be solved in engineering. And I'm sure that you are going to enjoy this activity a lot and get a perspective on getting from understanding the overall challenges and problems into actually executing specific tasks. So good luck with everything. I'm happy to have you here, and I'm thrilled that so many participants are joining us this afternoon. Thank you. I hope you will enjoy it.
Yes, thank you, Lars, very much. I'm gonna immediately give the floor to Dev, and Dev, you will take care of the presentation of yourself up to detail and whatever it's done in this project so far. So now the floor is yours. Meanwhile, I'm here to keep an eye on the chat for any questions. When the time comes, Dev, I will just make a little click on starting to wrap up the 10 minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Serena and others. I hope you can hear me. Is that a yes? Okay. Again, thank you all for joining. And today I have a short presentation that will discuss sustainability learning at AUEng. And I'm Dev Ramanujan. I'm an assistant professor in mechanical engineering within the Department of Engineering at Aarhus University. So before I start, I'd like to give a short kind of background about myself. So I have been in Aarhus University for 3 years as assistant professor from 2017. And before that, I was in the US before moving to Denmark. I was a postdoc at MIT from 2015 to 17. And then before that, had a PhD degree in mechanical engineering from Purdue University. But all through these phases, I've been closely involved in looking at problems related to environmental sustainability and social sustainability. And here at Aarhus, I lead the lifecycle design and manufacturing research group. And our research is in the intersection of 3 areas. One is social systems, which primarily focuses on how people make decisions related to engineering and sustainability. And this spans the spectrum of experts in industries taking decisions on using new materials or new manufacturing processes, as well as end users who want to understand different perceptions on sustainability and how we can change their behavior. The second area is computer information systems. And here we look at what's the best way we can store knowledge about products, about manufacturing processes, so that we can integrate sustainability more closely with engineering. And the third area is product development systems. And here we look at the actual tools that are used in engineering to realize products, both looking at computer-aided design tools as well as tools more closely related to manufacturing. And you can see that reflected in our thrust areas in our research group is looking at creating new computer-aided tools for sustainable product design, where we also focus a lot on looking at visualization and decision-making. We look at manufacturing process modeling and how we can reduce the manufacturing impacts of various processes, and we have tremendous industry collaborators there who work very closely with us on these problems. And we also look at human-machine partnership in sustainable manufacturing. And one of the most important points for today is that we also look at translating this research into education, because it's not, in my opinion, enough if we do the research without, we have responsibility also to educate our students and the next generation of engineers to be able to understand how they can get involved and practice sustainability. So I started off trying to compile all the different activities related to sustainability at AUing, and you can imagine they're quite widespread and quite diverse, and it's very difficult to come up with a comprehensive list. But in talking to students, in talking to people around the department, I've kind of tried to put together a map of the various different areas. You can see that it's very, very diverse. It starts from challenges and competitions. We have the AU challenge here. There are other challenges in Aarhus and in Denmark. We have students engaging through sustainability in the form of internships with industries, with networks and clubs, through their research, through different projects, and even entrepreneur activities and self-learning. But the core of the activities and what's in the center is through coursework. And this happens in two flavors, right? One is the integration with courses in engineering itself, and the other is through elective courses, both in engineering and in cross-faculty. Courses like in business science, in Faculty of Arts and health sciences, etc. So one of the things that you will see in this map is that a lot of these tasks are, one, they are elective, right? It's not all the students necessarily go through these various channels. The second is that these happen kind of at the later end of the curriculum. So it comes after students learn about engineering, they try and apply these concepts into kind of practice for sustainability. So in the department, we focus both on research and education. On the research side, you can see that at the faculty level, which is the Faculty of Technical Sciences, that sustainability and green transition is front and center in one of the agendas for the faculty. And if you look at the website, you can see that it's really important for us to act on the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, when we look at the education side of things, right, it also becomes a strong focus. And this is a quote I have from ABET, which is the American board which approves bachelor's programs and other programs in the US. You can see that more and more it's becoming important that we give all our students, not just a few who choose to take an elective, but all of them a good understanding of the realistic constraints there are in the environment with related to social, political, ethical challenges, as well as sustainability. Now, the question is, how do we do this, right? How do we do this in an already packed engineering curriculum where it's important, and like Lars was saying, that we really need engineers who are skilled, who have strong fundamentals. So how do we also introduce sustainability into it? There has been a lot of research trying to look at this problem. What's the best way to do this? And I'd like to pick a couple of them to show you what's in general is consensus in the area. So one is that it's realized that students find it difficult to practice sustainability while doing engineering unless it's a part of the regular coursework. And two, there's a need for it to be fully integrated into engineering curriculum. Without that, again, it's difficult for them to understand how sustainability relates to engineering practice. There are a lot of ways to do this through lectures, through assignments. And one of the things that personally we've been working on in our group is looking at guided discovery instruction. And this is a more active form of learning where students learn through not just direct lectures or instruction, but also by going through the scientific process, going through hypothesis generation, going through planning, experimentation, and evaluation. And what we found more recently is that guided discovery can be a very effective means for learning sustainability, particularly in an engineering context, because students can construct examples. For example, if you're working on a design and you decide to add a hole somewhere, you can ask yourself, okay, what will this do? Will this increase the carbon footprint? Will it reduce it? How does it affect my engineering parameters related to stress or related to weight? So, and you can form these links between sustainability parameters and engineering parameters. Now, one of the challenges in doing this is that, like I was mentioning, that engineering curricula are usually fully packed and there are a lot of courses going on. And it's very challenging for us to introduce more and more courses, standalone courses in sustainability at the bachelor's level or at the starting of the master's level. So what this project aims at doing is to try and create smaller modules or portions, if you will, that can use guided discovery as a means for teaching sustainability in existing courses. So again, to iterate, the big focus behind creating this game is how do we integrate guided discovery instruction, again, for sustainability, so that it can be tied into engineering curricula. And in this process, what we also work with is gamifying learning. In the paper that was cited in the previous slide, in our paper, we found that while we can create this engaging process for students to learn and discover new concepts about sustainability in their engineering courses, it really helps if you have gamified elements of it by introducing aspects such as peer engagement, where students engage with each other and have friendly competition and feedback and have a sense of community, a sense of measurement, to have a quantitative assessment of, for example, trade-offs between technical parameters and sustainability parameters. And more importantly, the idea of rewarding achievement. So if you learn or discover things, it's nice if you get recognition for that you can collect or also display. And these are elements that we have built into the game. So here's a short little preview that I'll provide. We'll get a lot more detail about the game as we go along with Jana and Haitham's presentation. But what I'm going to do is to quickly give you an overview of the game. And let me just unshare and reshare it, sorry, so that we can get back to looking at the website. Okay, so I hope you can see the screen. Otherwise, please indicate that on chat. But you can see that we'll share the links with everybody. But you can see the core element of the game is divided into three things. One is the idea of combining direct instruction by asking them to learn about different elements of sustainability and get certified in that process. Again, Jana will take you through the details, but in a nutshell, we have videos about different elements of sustainability, and in the end, there's a quiz that they will need to answer and qualify and get a certificate. This is the direct instruction part. The second part is the active exploration and discovery. We have a wide variety of projects that we have built in, again, and we'd like to expand a lot more. But the idea, again, is that these are problems that relate to both sustainability and a technical discipline. So for example, the bridge project relates to civil and architectural engineering. There's a task on designing a bow riser or a brake pedal that relates more to mechanical engineering. And we have, again, similar tasks related to electrical and computer engineering, and we're adding more. But the idea in these tasks is that students are able to go through a task and iteratively solve this, not just once, but iteratively solve a technical problem, and Haitham will go through this. And in that process, they can compete with each other. And you can see to the right of the screen, I kind of narrowly beat Haitham on the bridge design task, which I'm proud of because I don't have a background in civil engineering and Haitham does. But you can also see that there is a notion of getting a rank, accumulating points and collecting badges as you go along, completing the different tasks. Again, I'll let Haitham and Jana explain this in further detail, but this was a short sneak peek of what different elements of the game are about. So with that, I will conclude. Thank you all for listening. Yeah.
Thank you. What we can do actually, just to stimulate a little bit of energy in the room, is that if you can all open the mic and just giving a very quick clap. We can try that. That maybe is going to work. Yes. Good. Now, before I give the word to Jana and Haitham to make it, to keep up with this energy, I'm going to ask you to please open your another browser on your computer and go to menti.com, and over there use the code for this event, and please type the country you're from, just to have an idea on the whole diversity of this room today, we are on and off 70, 80 participants. And if we had the chance to do it in person, the networking would have been great, but we will just try to get an impression here. So while you're doing this and showing us the country that you're from, then also please, when you have your name on the participants chat, try to put your full name and maybe the institution you come from, because as you know, or as you can see, we have left this room open, so you can even chat to each other and see if there are some exchange to happen after this event. So actually this is becoming very nicely put together. We have France, Brazil, Hungary. DTU is not a country, but it's a university in Copenhagen area. That's okay. Bosnia, Netherlands, Denmark, France. We have actually left you the option to give 3 entries, so you might have 3 citizenships, or who knows what's your, yeah, so this actually looks pretty. Okay, perfect. Then I will just give you a little bit of time on the other one. Now that Dev gave us a little bit of a flavor for what sustainability means, try rating yourself here. What is sustainability for you? If you care about it, if you take action towards it, and whether you're new to the area. So none of the previous makes much sense to you. So just to have an idea on how this room feels about sustainability. Okay, this looks interesting. Good. And if we look at the countries before, yes, looks beautiful. Perfect. Now I'll just stop sharing my screen, and Haytham, Yana, please present yourselves before demonstrating the game.
Okay, maybe I should start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'm Haytham, and I recently graduated from Aarhus University. I was studying civil and architecture engineering. I finished my master's degree there, and I've been working on this project since last March, which has been very exciting. And I had to learn so many different things, with programming to mechanical engineering concepts, electrical engineering, and all the different specializations in engineering. And I'm really happy to present to you this product that we've been working on for, I guess, 6-7 months now. And maybe Yana would also like to present herself.
Okay. Yeah, I have a better connection. My name is Yana. So I'm also a new graduate from Aarhus University. I've been studying the international studies, doing my master, and graduated in 2020. So I've been working on this project with Haytham together, starting from March. And while I was developing the theoretical content of the game related to sustainable development principles for engineers, so while doing this, I was mostly using my academic experience from international organizations and international development sphere. So I'm also very glad to introduce you to this project, as we put a lot of effort in it. So right now we can show you the video, I suppose, on the structure of the project. Haytham?
Yes, Dev is taking the video from his screen. And just for the whole companies that are here, Yana and Haytham will be available for jobs very soon, unless we hire them before you. So keep an eye on that. So Dev, screen is yours.
Yeah, so we're switching to a video because in the interest of time, we've had to fast forward some elements of playing the game. And I hope you're able to hear me when I play this video. Serena, if not, please let me know. I'm just going to start the video from all the way up in the front.
Hi, my name is Haytham, and today I'm happy to present to you ØkoEngineer, our latest platform for sustainability education directed at engineering students currently studying their master's degree in Aarhus University. First off, I will show you the platform or the website and how it looks like, how it works. First off, when you go to the website, you will be directed to the login screen. If you don't have an account, you would need to create an account over here. I have an account already, so I'm just gonna log in. And over here, you're presented with the news section of the game. Here, any updates or any changes that come to the game or the platform will show up here. First off, let me show you the projects. So when you come here to the projects, we have different projects for different engineering disciplines. We have 2 for mechanical right now, 1 for civil engineering and 1 for electrical engineering. I will show you how it looks like. So first, let's see the bridge project. And when you go in, you're gonna see information about the project. What is the objective? You can see here the objective of this is minimizing cost and CO2 emissions when you model the bridge. And you can also see, which is very important, the certificates needed to actually start this project. And you can see further information on how to actually do this. So I'm gonna show you the certificates, and over here my colleague Yana, who actually done the certificates, is gonna present it to you. I'm gonna come back after she.
Yes, thank you. So now let me tell you more about the certificate section. It goes right after the news section and before the projects. So before you can actually start working on a particular project in the project section, you will need to complete a certain number of certificates. Some of them can be optional, some of them can be obligatory, or you can also choose an option to complete all of them to get all the necessary information. For example, here we have the list of 6 certificates devoted to 6 different topics. All of them are connected either to sustainability, sustainable development, and sustainable engineering or sustainable development goals, and so on. In this case, let us take a look, for example, at certificate number 4. You click Take a Test, and then you are immediately transferred to the study video. So each certificate includes a study video, which is quite short, no more than 5-6 minutes long. It includes all the necessary information on the topic. For example, when you start the video, you can see how it goes. You see the speaker with the speaker notes, also providing some images and related data, the tables, the infographics, different references to different resources, and so on, everything which is related to the topic and can be useful. For example, this video is discussing the topic of sustainable engineering, and you can see all this data related to the topic how engineers can make their work more sustainable. At the end of each study video, which you have here, there goes the list of the literature, which you can see right here. So the student, in case the students want to find out more and also know what kind of information they referred to, they will have the full list of the used literature, which can be the links to the official websites of international organizations like the United Nations and the SDG website, or also the links to the scholars' literature, the books, journals, newspaper articles, and so on. So everything which was used in the process of making the.
Okay, sorry, I'm hearing that the video quality is, for some reason, not that good. I'm going to try bumping it up on YouTube. Just give me 1 second.
And while this is loading, I also want to say thank you to Arthur, our student designer, who's done all the nice slide design for the ØkoEngineer, so we keep up with the same colors and shapes and avatars and so on. So Arthur, I know you're there. Cheers to you.
Hi, thanks.
And Dev, now you can hit it on where it is. It's fine.
The video and everything the students would like to use in order to find out more information on the topic. And after completing the videos, the students are going to complete the small testing, which is usually the multiple choice questions. So usually there are 2 or 3 of them after each study video. So they are choosing the answer by clicking on the options which they think is correct. And after they complete it, they go into submission. Afterwards, you can see the total percentage of the correct answers. So in case you have all the answers correct and you are considered to have passed and submit the certificate. You press done, and here you will have this certificate which you have just completed marked as finished, and afterwards you can be transferred to, you will have the access to the particular projects.
And thank you, Yana, for presenting the certificates to us. And as you can see here, I have a check mark on all 6 of the currently available certificates, which indicates that I have obtained them or completed these certificates. I'm just going to show you some of our projects right now. I would like to run you through one try of the bridge project, but first maybe I would mention one of the other projects also. I'm going to go see the brake pedal project. The objective of this project is to have the student design a car brake pedal with the least amount of material possible while maintaining the structural integrity of the brake or the shape. What's nice about this project is we don't have any software to download here. It's all web-based. We use Onshape, which is a web-based CAD tool, and it's used to 3D model the shape. And we also use SimScale to structurally analyze the shape and whether it can actually maintain the load that's applied to it. And now I will just like to show the bridge project. Okay, so the purpose of this project is to create a bridge that can maintain a load with the least amount of CO2 emissions and the least cost. So first off, we can read a bit here about what we need for this project. We need bridge designer software. We also need to use this code in the software, and then they have some more details about the materials available that we can use to construct this bridge, the cost of each material, the stress it can handle, and the CO2 release per kilogram of material. So let's start by going to Bridge Designer. So I go to the Bridge Designer software website to download the software and install it. And now you can see me opening the software, and then I need to copy and paste a code that's provided in the description to give me the setup I need, which is a 36 meter span bridge. Now you can see me putting the necessary joints for this bridge, and then drawing the elements. And now I'm drawing the truss to carry the load of the bridge, and now the cables. You can see me using the same material for now, and I'm gonna test it, and it failed. So right now I'm increasing the size of the elements and changing the material for the bottom truss, and we can see this passed the loading test. So I needed to basically submit my results to the platform. I do that by copy and pasting the results into 2 Excel files, one Excel file containing the loading and the other one the loading results, sorry, and the other one containing the cost result. And you can see me doing that right now. It's very easy and straightforward to do. You just save the 2 files and then go to the platform, name your project, and just pick the 2 files that you saved. And now you can see I got a score of 74, which is not bad, but I'm gonna still try to improve the score. I reduce the size of some elements, delete some elements that I think I can go without, and I try it now and it works. I think I can also reduce it even more and it still works. So I'm gonna copy the results again and see what score I get this time. Okay, straightforward. and the same process again, and you can see I got a score of 83 now. And basically that is it. And thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm going to pause there quickly. Again, sorry, we had to run through the calculation a little bit for those of you interested in that. But I'd like to point out one thing, if you can still see my screen, let me just unshare it. Just a quick couple of comments about the platform that I'd like to bring up is that it's built with the idea that it can scale across different tasks, different domains, and different platforms, right? We're not trying to implement, for example, a backend that can simulate loading in trusses and a backend, like Haitham showed you, for example, the brake pedal or the bow task here. We're not trying to build a finite element solver or something more complicated in it. It makes use of software that's freely available to students, that students are familiar with. For example, in the bow task, we use Onshape, who you'll hear from in a little bit later today, which is a web-based CAD platform, which also can do finite element analysis. And then the results from these software are uploaded to our platform to do calculations about carbon footprint or energy consumption, etc. So you just upload your results file. So in this case, there's a VTU file, and then there's a material that you choose for your design. So, and the idea behind this is that it allows us to scale across different project tasks. So if tomorrow somebody from chemical engineering came to us with an idea for a task and they needed to simulate, let's say, a chemical reaction, we don't need to sit and implement a new module with that complexity. We can always use existing software. And what we work with is taking the results file from well-known engineering software and use that to calculate sustainability related parameters. And as Haitham showed you, compute a score for one technical parameter. In this case, you have to, for example, still make the design work. It shouldn't fail under a certain loading condition. And it should minimize some sort of objective, right? And in this case, it's minimizing the weight of your final design as well as cumulative energy demand. And that is the total energy required to produce that part. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Dev. Yeah, very nice observations about the game, even though it went a little bit fast. For the students who fit within certain projects due to their background, they actually would know how these calculations go, and they would know the platform, so that will be relatively easy for them. I also want to go back again to this menti.com page by using the same code and ask you to include a little bit on your background, because now for the next two speakers, we have companies out of the university presenting, and we would like to know the presence of the participants in this room today, and what do you do, and then just drag a few experiences from what you do out there. Yes, so we have consultants, we have students, we have professional staff, academics, educational development, management consultant, corporate people, civil engineers, software engineer, electrical engineering. It's quite a bit. Perfect. And also for this little exercise, you have multiple entries that you can give if you want to be identified with different backgrounds. I like it that it's student, it's the biggest entry, because we want students to play the game and we want students to learn about sustainability through this platform. And definitely it's good to know that we have a few companies here, because the project has to start somewhere, and there are a few projects there now, but of course we would like more concrete projects coming from the industry here. And for that reason, I'm going to invite now Onshape. Diana, I'll stop my screen and I'll give you the floor, and you will share with us all the surprises about the students in the game. So Diana, the floor is yours.
Hello, hi everyone. Nice to have you here, and happy Friday. Can you hear me well? So I will also share my screen.
Perfect.
Okay, just a second. So my name is Diana Boiriu, and I am part of the PTC and Onshape academic team. So far, I've been leading the academic business in Europe. And in the call with me, I also have Alex Kazaku, who is part of the Onshape and PTC academic technical team as a senior academic technical engineer, as well as I am joined by my colleague, Ionuț Dragan, who is managing the academic business in the Nordics area. Now, we have a pretty large department, let's say, dealing with education and anyway, universities and schools. And I know that some of you are already familiar with Onshape, but I'm not sure if you are all familiar with PTC. So in case you are new to PTC, I would just like to highlight at the beginning that Onshape was acquired by PTC last year. So nowadays it's part of our PTC portfolio, in addition to other products related to IoT, AR, and CAD, and so on. And just to have an idea, PTC is an American global software company headquartered in Boston. And as partner solutions, we have some extraordinary names such as Microsoft, Deloitte, or Vodafone. While PTC's customers include some very recognized, let's say, brands across the industries, such as Toyota, Philips, John Deere, and so on. So in our presentation today, my goal is just to give you a very short overview about our program and the way we support universities and students with our academic solutions. And I would like to start by telling you the fact that in addition to our Onshape educational plan, which is available free for students, we also have a couple of other solutions, such as Creo, which is our PTC traditional CAD tool, and it is widely known in the industry. Vuforia, which is used to create and publish augmented reality experiences. ThingWorks, which is our IoT platform, MathCAD, which is our engineering math software, and which is for product lifecycle management. So with all of these tools, what we are trying to do is to help students get aligned and prepared for digitally transformed education as well as workplace. Now we work with schools, with high schools, with research institutes such as Fraunhofer or AMRC, but we also have many partnerships with universities worldwide. Currently, we have a network of over 4,000 universities working and using our solutions as a part of their curriculum. You can see here on the slide a couple of names in Europe, but also in the US. Students from all over the world are using our educational solutions, Onshape, as well as the rest of the logos mentioned a little bit earlier, you know, just to work on their homeworks in class, learn CAD, AR, and IoT, as well as part of some internship programs or even apprenticeship. What we are trying also to do nowadays is to adapt to you know, the new conditions in the learning and the teaching environment. And I guess we have all been affected by this coronavirus pandemic. And there was a pretty serious impact felt also in education. So you may have already experienced on your own some changes, such as maybe taking some classes entirely from home, or using your personal devices to work on some class projects, on some homeworks to study, for teaching, and so on, even if sometimes those devices might not have met all the software requirements as it was the case on campus. At the same time, I guess some of you have already got used to receiving feedback virtually from your professors or from your mentors. and might have had to get used with some brand new tools with limited assistance. So we are trying, just to address such challenges. And we think that most of these challenges are, solved through Onshape. For those of you who don't already know Onshape, Onshape is entirely cloud-based CAD tool. It is fully web-based. It requires no installation or specific software requirements, let's say. At the same time, there is no need for file management or storage. You can access it anywhere, anytime, from pretty much any type of device. So no matter if you are working from a Chromebook or a Mac or an iPad, or even from your mobile devices, you can still have the possibility to log on to Onshape and start working on the platform. Now, these are some of the benefits presented by Onshape. I know that some of you are already familiar with it, and I would also encourage you to go online on onshape.com and to create your own account, because it's completely free and it takes only a couple of moments just to get started with Onshape and get into the platform. A couple of other things that are cool with Onshape is the fact that you can easily collaborate with your professor. And at the same time, it's very easy to communicate with your peers because it has a chat box embedded in the platform. So it's easy to stay in touch with them live, fully real time. And another nice thing is the fact that you can work with your colleagues on the same design without having the risk of overwriting each other's work. So these are some of the advantages brought by Onshape. What I would also like to encourage you to do is to leverage the Onshape Learning Center. Now, this Learning Center, it includes all types of training resources, materials, webinars, fun exercises that are suitable both for beginners, but also for those of you who are more experienced with Onshape. And I would like to add the fact that our Onshape education team is always working on creating new learning resources and also some fun exercises on how you can use Onshape for some interesting things, such as customizing, for example, your eyeglasses frames, or creating an or animating, an unmanned aerial vehicle and see it flying directly in the platform. So once you have an Onshape student account, you will also have access to the Onshape Learning Center. Another thing I would like to add, and that could be very interesting for you, is the fact that we also support student teams that are competing for different competitions. So we really like to hear that you are using Onshape for such exciting projects as the ones on the ØkoEngineer platform. However, we also have, let's say, a sponsorship software package that is available for students who get involved in different types of competitions. And one great example is our Formula Student competition, which is one of the top engineering contests in Europe. And this takes place annually in Silverstone, UK. So we are always supporting students competing in such contests by providing them our software completely free of charge, as well as some personalized support. So in case you may be aware of such events, or you may be attending such contests, feel free to reach out to us, and perhaps we can also assist you. Something else that I would like to add is the fact that we are online, so you can find out a little bit more about our Onshape use cases in universities, how other students are using Onshape for different projects, as well as how other let's say universities are using our PTC solutions for different use cases. And if you search PTC academic program on LinkedIn, you will find our page, and we are also very active on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So I guess we can also see each other there. Now, this kind of brings us to the end of our presentation. I would like to mention that, we had the limited time today. However, we are also very open to have such, conversations in the future as well. So feel free to reach out to us. But yeah, I won't close my presentation before reminding you that PTC would like to reward top performers on ØkoEngineer platform. And we would like to do this by providing all of those top players 2 premium student software licenses for Creo and MATCAD, so that perhaps you can use them on your future projects. So this would be all on my end. And once again, it was great to have us here. In case there may be other questions or things you would like to discuss with us regarding Onshape in education, as well as the rest of our PTC academic solutions, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, Diana. I think maybe now it's the time to exercise the clapping again with the microphones on. This is very nice, and I think it's really good for the students who will be playing the game and aiming to be on the top list. Qualified to get the premium accounts here. And I also hope that many of the companies here then get a wave of thoughts and ideas to how to support the game with other sorts of platforms. And now I'm gonna give the word to Casper. And please, Casper, share your screen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for
present yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for joining today. It's always nice with some extra prizes for the winners. I think so. So let me just share my screen. So I'm Casper from SetSnail, the tech company that helped build this game/platform. We are based in Aarhus, and I also encourage you to follow us if you like to. So the agenda, I'm going to walk you through how the game works on a technical level and why we think this is interesting and what we can do with it in the future. So just, the game works like this. So the core game loop, we already touched it, but players, they take on the role of a contractor or an eco-friendly engineer, and then they submit projects and they get scored. And as they get scored, they get a higher rank, they get badges, and they try to become the ultimate engineer and to top their class. And that's basically the core loop. So you go in and you find a project, you take the certificates needed to create the project, and then you keep improving your score and moving up the ranks. And the badges should encourage people to do it again and again to improve over time. So we have 3 parts. We have the game, and then we have a CMS. And the CMS is like it's short for content management system. So that's where we input content. And then we have an external Python server. And the game is the player-facing part. It's basically the same as a website, but it's enhanced with a lot of animations and stuff like that. And then we have the Python server. And the reason why we use Python is because a lot of engineers, they're used to using Python. So they can actually go in and create the scoring scripts themselves. So what happens is that, like we already talked about, we have the files from the external software, and they are submitted to the game, uploaded to a server, and then they are sent to the scoring server, which actually calculates the score and sends it back to the front end. And then we have the CMS, where people can be admitted and they can create new projects. So it's easy to add new projects to the game because we wanted to make it accessible as possible. So to set up a new project, you go into the CMS and you create the project, and someone with in-depth knowledge on the topic will do a scoring script, someone who probably knows the software that produces the files, and then you test it, and basically that's it. That's all you need to make a new project. So it's up to the imagination of the people creating the projects. And why is this interesting? So first of all, this is a nice, new, engaging way to learn. And players, they compete in a friendly environment, and this should nurse like progression. And once you see your classmates top the list, you should want to talk to them and figure out how did they score higher than I did. And this should like create a community where the group as a whole try to come up with the best possible solutions. It's a great way to learn new software, also because you are going to learn a lot of new external tools, so it can prepare you for what's coming when you go out to the real to a job afterwards. And for companies, this is a place where they can influence what the students learn and what kind of software they're going to learn. So basically they can help shape talent and make sure that students are prepared for what is waiting for them after they're done. So for the future, it would be really nice to have more real cases from real companies. So that would be really nice. We imagine like a huge list of projects. So anything that can be scored by an algorithm will actually work within the game. So there are so many possibilities to add more projects, and also this entire concept would work with other topics. It doesn't have to be like only engineering topics. It could be a wide variety of stuff where you would segment people as they enter the game, and they would only get what's actually relevant to them. So we see this as the MVP, and we really want to improve the concept and put even more gamification into it, and more ways for players to interact. And hopefully this could be part of the future of learning. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Kasper. Now I hope companies know better. Yeah.
So before we rush to a break, I'd quickly like to add that as Kasper showed, that since it's linked to external software, we can go, for example, make it as complicated as possible. And you saw some examples of that where it was CAD and finite element analysis, or you could link to external software for simulating circuits, but could also, on the other hand, be as simple as possible. So in the future, for example, one thing we want to do is, for example, target students either in high schools or other places where you could build some application where you switch on a light or turn on some devices and see what is the extra power that consumes and what impact does that have. And if you switch to renewable energy, what impact can that have? So again, we can scale down the complexity and we can scale up the complexity because of the architecture that, as Kasper just showed.
That's true.
Timing is perfect. We will give you 10 minutes break just to refill your coffee and your water, and then we are back with the panel and the rest of the day in 10 minutes. So take your time and see you in 10 minutes. Yes. While we wait for the last 5 minutes of the break, if anybody has questions that we can take up here, just unmute yourself and we can take your question.
Serena, I can also show some uploads to the game in the meanwhile, if I can share my screen for the next 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So as you're seeing there, Hytham's tried out a project for bridge design. I'm going to show you one for the design of a bow riser, and we'll quickly step through it. I'm not probably going to go through the entire task of doing this, but the idea is that you start with a starting shape that's given, and you can, for example, see that here. So this is the shape that you start with, and you can progressively remove material from it. So if I try and play this video here, so you can see Hytham going on to OnShape once that loads. And so you start off with the shape. Again, this is all web-based, so it's really easy to get access to this. And Hytham will add different kinds of operations that remove material from this to make it as light as possible. So if I skip a little bit forward, you can see Hytham adding a few. You can see Hytham adding a few holes to it to try and make it as light as possible. Again, this is not the most optimal design, but it's for demonstrating the intention behind the task. Once he does that, he will now move on to SimScale, which is a online finite element analysis tool that's linked to OnShape. And he can now import the CAD model into SimScale. And if I skip a little forward, you can see that he is now setting up the problem according to the conditions that are given in this task. So you can see below that we've said that there's some load that's applied on both the ends, and there's a support in the middle for that, and there's a load of 5,000 newtons in the Y direction and 600 newtons in the Z direction. So Hytham will continue applying these loads and set up again, if you're working on mechanical or even civil engineering, students will be familiar with setting up problems like this, which is part of their engineering education. And what you'll see now in a moment is that he's running a simulation, again, completely online without downloading anything, any software. And you can see the results of the simulation. And you can see that some places there's a little more stress than the others, but he's going to verify whether that works. And once that he's confirmed that it works, he will then download a VTU file, which is the format in which the results from the simulation show up. So it's just as easy as downloading the VTU file. And I have one or a couple that I've been trying out. So let's try and see this. So I'm going to go to my downloads and select one of them, right, which is the results from the simulation, like I was showing you. So the file is now uploaded to the platform, and then I've selected that it's made of aluminum or aluminium in Europe, and then I click submit. So now it goes back to the Python server and calculates the environmental impact, one metric for environmental impact based on the submission. And you can see that there's something wrong, right? So the problem was that in my design, I did not reduce the weight at all. So it gives me a 0 score. So then I might be motivated to go back and say, okay, I'm going to try and improve this design. And so I'm going to go back and try with a second version of it. I'm going to try and reduce the weight even more, try and make it better.
Maybe with the 3, yeah, more or less.
Yeah, so I'm going to try the third version of it, and then select.
You have 1 minute.
Yeah, and I hopefully get a better score in the last minute. Okay, so again, that's not the best design, but 10 is a lot better than 0. But you can see the reason why, right? I can see the hint there saying that, okay, I have room to increase the stress in my design by 38%. And the current weight is 2,000 grams. So I can go and improve this again. I can see why I'm not doing well and try to get a greater score. But with that, I will stop.
Yes, thank you, Dev. Now you can leave the screen for me. Thank you. Well, actually, we got quite a few questions in the chat. Who can access the game? Can we give it to other students besides engineering students at the moment? Can we open it for the professionals? So my answer would be we want to, and of course we are heading towards that. But seeing how this project has been conducted for less than a year now and less than 40,000 euros of support, and of course with a lot of other struggles that everybody went through, we found out that it's much better to open this up right now and then let everybody know what's the stage, so that whoever wants to join can fight the same battle with us, so that we don't do it alone. So and this week, it's the Act for Sustainable Development Goals week. So all different global challenges are being announced, like popping up all over the place. And this is one of them. So that's why we thought we will do as much as we can to at least announce a few of the core projects now and the learning content created so far. And Dev, you have something to say here.
Yeah, I think I'd be remiss if I do not acknowledge all the people and funding that's come together to make this possible. And as Serena was talking about, in a very, very short time, in less than 6 or 7 months of development and a lot of planning time before that. So the project was primarily funded by two agencies. It's the Aarhus University EDU-IT program. A big thanks to them for supporting this effort, as well as the Fonden for Entrepreneurship. And again, thanks to the AU team, that's Serena, Rune, Camilla, Haitham, Jana, and Atos. SetSnail, again, Casper, Tia, and the others, as well as OnShape. Thank you for the wonderful prizes, and all of you as well for attending.
Yes, thank you, Dev. And now we are for the panel discussion. And I'm actually looking forward towards this very much, because this whole period, I've been going around knocking on doors, trying to see how we can get this project running for a longer period and giving access to more students and staff and professionals, engineering professionals out there. So the next 20 minutes, we will have Dev, Emilia, Badri, and Thomas in the panel. So for that, I'm going to ask everybody else to mute and also stop your camera. So we only have these 4 in the focus. And I'm going to start by shortly having the slides of Emilia to present yourself and your institution. And I'll take it from there to introduce each other in this panel. We'll take it after the introductions, what will happen. So Emilia, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm really looking forward to this panel discussion. My name is Emilie Norman. I am the head of research and analysis and our programs within higher education at the Danish Foundation for Entrepreneurship. The Danish Foundation for Entrepreneurship is a 10-year-old organization that's funded by 4 ministries in Denmark: Erhvervsministeriet, Børne- og Undervisningsministeriet, Uddannelses- og Forskningsministeriet, og Kulturministeriet. And we are sort of the National Knowledge Center for Entrepreneurship in Denmark, and we have a very strong strategic goal, and that is that entrepreneurship becomes part of teaching and learning at every educational level here in Denmark. So that's also what we say, from ABC to PhD, because we cover the whole educational system. And we push for entrepreneurship to be both part of the learning systems, and we work with educators and teachers to work with the entrepreneurship and to embed it into their education. And we provide a number of programs, both from early stage, so Edison and Next Level, which are the sort of for schools, and thousands of students participate, all the way up through to our National Grant Entrepreneurship Award, which will be a festival this year in November. And then we also give grants, micro grants to student entrepreneurship teams. So we fund initiatives like what we just heard here from Aarhus University. We produce teaching material. We run all of these various programs and just really are part of the, I would say, the ecosystem around entrepreneurship in Denmark. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilia, very much. Now I would like Thomas from Go Green Aarhus, City of Aarhus. Yes, Thomas? We can't hear you just yet.
Bit off today. Yeah, so let's see if it goes through. But thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Thomas and I'm representing the city of Aarhus. I'm part of our local climate department working on transforming the green transformation of the city of Aarhus towards the 2030 goal of becoming a CO2 neutral and also sustainable city. So we work within a lot of areas, transportation, energy, and my focus area and my some of the projects that I'm working on is heavily related to building partnerships with companies, universities, NGOs, and through that building competencies and knowledge about the green transformation, and through that I've been part of this project, and I'm happy to see how it moves. Some questions and some debate after this.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. Your sound is coming and going on and off. But I'm gonna stop sharing the screen, so now we can give the floor to Badri from Grundfos.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Badri Nath. Everyone calls me as Badri. I work for Grundfos, and I'm also part of Aarhus University. Earlier, I did my PhD from Aarhus University in material science. And I'm currently working in Grundfos as a material and process engineer. And I'm looking after the different technologies that we are using in our products to also align the sustainability perspectives within the manufacturing area and linking the design perspectives to it. You all know about Grundfos. Grundfos is a company based in Denmark, and which is a pump manufacturing company. We have a very huge focus towards the sustainability, not only by selling our products into the market, which are very useful for the clean water and energy savings aspects. We also incorporate the sustainability to our product manufacturing processes so as to stitch the sustainability all over the value chain, not just at one end of the value chain at the use phase. So I'm here actually to say how this ØkoEngineering is inhibiting the sustainability perspective towards the new engineering students or engineers coming out from the university.
Yes, thank you, Badri. I want to believe that you are our fan at the engineering department. We have had you a few times in different projects, and the last one was related to sustainable energy days and the smart manufacturing days at our deep tech experimental hub. So we are also here to lock you with more Grundfos cases within the ØkoEngineer platform. So we will get into that next.
We do have a lot of projects running actually with the Aarhus University.
Definitely.
Not
yes.
only just the engineering department, we have a lot of projects running actually with the chemistry department and all.
Definitely, yes. And you already heard from Dev. So how is it going to go from now is that the next 10 minutes, Lars has a few questions for you, panelists, that you will start answering depending on your profession, your own company, or your own wish. So, and then I'll keep eye on the chat to take some of the participants' questions later on. But Lars, first question from you.
Yes, I don't know what happened to Thomas, but otherwise it's an impressive panel, and I am thrilled that we have a technology provider or solution provider in Grundfos. We have a researcher also in the panel, and we have a facilitator of entrepreneurship and innovation in respect to sustainability in Emilie. And then we're supposed to have Thomas as well. And Thomas, could we see?
I'm still here.
You're still there? Excellent. So Thomas, you are a customer, so to speak, for solutions. You are, at least you represent an organization that is in great demand for solutions to obtain your sustainability goals. So my question to you is that when considering the urgency of finding solutions to a lot of these problems, how do we create an environment where the education and the university is aligned with the dynamics between a technology provider like Grundfos and a customer like Aarhus Municipality?
So I think you also talked about it in the beginning when you mentioned the need to understand the problem, being able to understand the problem. So I think we have, as a city, we play a big role, or can play a big role in terms of being a test and innovation platform and a platform for instance, the university to build and test and develop new solutions and helping students to expand their academic competencies and the skills in real life, so to speak. So I think as a city, we should probably be able to maybe be a little bit more open to test projects, and that's why we also, I mean, getting involved in some of these projects is also trying to challenge our own organization to be more open to innovative projects. In the municipality, we have maybe we tend to be focusing on getting the right products, the right solutions for the right price, and there's only a small limit for failure. And I think if we are to deal with all these challenges that we are facing in terms of climate challenge and so on, we need to test much more and develop much more and try out much more and fail faster. And that also means that we have to be willing to accept more risks and be willing to interact with the university on a number of different type of projects where there might be failures along the way.
So Emilia, from your perspective, how can you help the university or the students to become more entrepreneurial or more innovation focused and apply the deep skills we teach them in the disciplines and apply them in the right way and in the right timing?
Yes, that's a good question. I think just overall, I think when we're discussing climate change and we're just discussing sort of sustainability and a sustainable development, I mean, a lot of innovation is needed, as you've been pointing out. And I think basically all of this innovation, or a great part of it, comes through entrepreneurs. So I think it's so wonderful whenever we are, and there's this increased focus on linking entrepreneurship with sustainable change and innovation, and looking at models and best ways of doing that. And I think there's a very clear fit between the role of universities and sort of the need, sort of the challenge drivers, which are the municipalities and others looking for solutions and innovations, and the link into some of the products that are already out there that corporates are already offering. And I think when it's sort of the role of the universities and how they can create those innovations and what models to look for, as you ask for, I think it happens at two levels. It happens within the education, and I think all of us who work with innovation education or with climate change or energy education, and who are not already looking at how to work with entrepreneurship and has that as a part of the curricula, there's a great opportunity to do that now. And we at the foundation are supporting that both concretely with sort of means to do that, but we're also doing a mapping at the moment and pulling together all the examples across higher education institutions, not just universities, but also professionshøjskoler and erhvervsakademier, to come with good examples of how they are expanding their education within entrepreneurship to include sustainability and climate change and sort of grøn omstilling. And it's really impressive the level of innovation and the level of including the perspectives from both the challenge owners, so in the case of municipalities, and organizations and companies, either in existing curricula or in workshops or in summer schools, and being quite sort of open-minded of how to have that and how to have the perspectives of those who need the solutions within the education. And we also see that in all sort of the extracurricular activities, so what goes on in the hubs, in the accelerators, within the university space, the willingness to experiment and to involve, for instance, companies and activities and in hackathons and in camps, to really get innovation going. And I think that is in many ways the way forward, to provide this experimental space where we bring together the sort of the whole triple helix model around climate change, and to but also to learn from each other. And I think the university environments, together with all the HREs, has a lot to learn from each other. So that's, for instance, why I think the mapping we are now doing at the foundation can hopefully push for that. But I will also encourage this environment of learning with each other, and also looking a little bit outside what goes on outside Denmark in innovation hubs who've been very progressive and merge sort of linking their entrepreneurs up with industries and with municipalities around sort of climate change solutions.
Okay, thank you. Serena, do I have a last question?
Definitely. We have Badri and Dev to comment as well.
It's good. So Badri, so from your perspective, sitting now with a technology provider or developer, what do you see? What kind of interaction do you see with students when, for instance, Grundfos meets customers and are challenged with demands which their technology or approach maybe do not meet at the moment? How can we involve students in developing solutions together with Grundfos based on the experience that Grundfos gets when they interact with their customers? You have to unmute yourself, Badri.
Sorry, it's very common mistake which we do, actually, muting the mic and talking. So basically, it's a very good question, actually. And first thing, when it comes to utilizing the students from the universities, that's the young blood is very important, because and it's also a very good initiative that actually from the start we are looking how to inject the sustainability and definitions of sustainability and how the sustainability has to be validated and evaluated. Today, sustainability is a very big buzzword which is used in many ways, but the definition, when it comes to use in certain cases, actually it has to be very concrete, and it has to be defined with certain guidelines and certain regulations and certain frameworks. And when we are introducing this with the universities, it is very nice to see. That's where actually the first step is very interesting. When universities talk about sustainability, environmental perspectives, and how the design optimizations has to link to it, how the energy consumptions and how the technology perspectives has to be drawn to it, and how the manufacturing aspects. I don't know, actually, it's very first time I have heard actually for the past 1.5 years, actually Aarhus University is talking about manufacturing perspectives. That's very impressive. And I'm very happy because I come from a background of both the design and as well as the production. And it's one of the major steps actually Aarhus University has taken. Second thing, coming by how we are involving the students is actually when obviously these topics are dealt at the university level. And we are also dealing on the industry level, looking at how the sustainability has to be implemented to the technology or the products which we are developing. It's a very good match, and it's also a boosting perspective, actually, how to involve the students into these kind of activities. That is one thing. And I only see actually opportunities most of the times, apart from the challenges also there, actually, along with opportunities, challenges also comes, and there also comes actually a lot of advantages over the challenges when we are tackling them. So as others are also mentioning about about the entrepreneurship, that's also boosts actually how to build in the things actually in an innovative way. And when we are looking at as a company perspective, it's not just only on the use phase we are looking, actually we are looking at the entire value chain. And when it comes to the entire value chain, it's not one end of the perspective, it's a complete at every stage, is either the design phase, either the raw material phase, either the production phase, and along or stitching all these things on the use phase. So universities plays a vital role because universities has all the streams, all the perspectives actually, and so it is very impressive that actually that these initiatives of sustainability and environmental aspects are considered at the university. And I hope I answered your question, but we have a very wide perspective again. You did the same thing, Lars.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to leave some questions to the audience, Serena.
Yes, before I go to a very interesting question here from the audience, I have a question for Dev. So Dev, we have here a funding institution, and we have here a corporate member, we have here also local government. What do you need as a very ambitious researcher? What do you need from these other entities in the ecosystem to make more things happen? And be straightforward and bold here. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that to start off with, I think that we need from both sides, and this is not just a one-way interaction. From both sides, we need a lot more engagement through different media. I think that we often tend to see people having very specific roles, and sometimes we see that a funding agency which provides funding, and the industries where we send our students after they finish their education or only when they need practical education. But I think that we need to start involving all stakeholders much more through different means and different facets. And we are beginning to start doing that. We're beginning to involve more and more industries, not just in the end for internships or thesis research, but also involve them in courses, involve them as an integral member of understanding how engineering is done in the real world. Because if you want to focus on sustainability, I think it's very important to understand what the real constraints are as a student when you want to go out there in industry, because they're very different, and you need to get an appreciation for it as you go along. Similarly, I think that when you talk about funding agencies and even engaging with the city, I think it's very important that these perspectives about the implications for the city, the implications on taking decisions from a perspective of entrepreneurship are tied closely with the curriculum. And I'm at least a strong believer in the fact that it's not an injection that you give in the end and students come with those skills. It's something that needs to be integrated and taught throughout different courses in the program while they're learning to be engineers or while they're learning to be professionals in some other stream, and hopefully we can get to that stage in the near future.
Yes, thank you, Dev. Perfect. I'm going to go to Nicolas' question.
I think Emily has a comment before we do that.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I can also take the question, but I'm just this whole issue around, and also around ecosystems, and also what we're discussing here today, and what is the value and what's the necessity of ecosystem around sustainable change and innovation. And I think that those are very, very critical. And I think there's role both for the ecosystem. So in the case of around Aarhus, both the municipality and the companies who are based there, and all the knowledge institutions to come together around sort of more committed and more innovative activities. And I definitely think there are ways we can do that where we push ourselves and where we also commit ourselves and where we're very open-minded to each other. And I think, as they were saying, that climate change requires both innovation and cross-disciplinary approaches, and we need to bring the needs of the environment around us into the education system very, very sort of strongly. And I think but then the universities and the knowledge institutes need to respond with what they can respond to. And that's, for instance, the ability to bring together cross-disciplinaries, both within of research and young students and mindsets such as entrepreneurship, but also sustainability very, very seldom is a very sort of one sector issues. It's combining engineering with anthropology, with societal studies, with business and economics. And that knowledge exists very strongly in the universities like Aarhus University. So they have actually a very unique position in order to bring together its expertise in a way that's applied to some of the challenges that it's seeing out there. And I think that's one of my key encouragement to knowledge institutions to really sort of bring out the potential it has through its cross-disciplinary capabilities. And that's also across entrepreneurship, research, and education.
Perfect. That's actually making a great point for us as a team here who have been running the development of the game, because we want to involve a lot more the other faculties and the central AU for supporting, of course, the game development and definitely other companies externally, so that there are more projects on all these combinations of disciplines. I'm going to go at the question from Nicolas. It's always great, he says, that we want to increase student awareness on this area. Are there plans to look at analytics of platform usage and also students' feedback to confirm learning outcomes and assess this, this approach that we are having here? Dev?
Yeah, so again, I think Nicholas is on point with that question, and I think the coming talks from Rune and Camilla will highlight some of the things they're going to do there. But Nicholas, to be very short about the answer, the idea is that we start launch this game in a course which will happen in the next semester, where every in a course called Applied Innovation Engineering, which every engineering students at the master's level takes. So we have a few hundred students that we're going to pilot this with. And we've built the system so that we can collect data about various things, about peer feedback, about how many times they're submitting designs, about whether they're improving or not improving, how they're getting guidance, how they're doing on the tests and certifications, etc. And we really want to understand the efficacy of this, right? As researchers, I think it's nice today that we showed something that works, that's interesting, but I think the next step is to show how effective it is, and how can this be made more effective around the curriculum that we have here.
Any other comments from Badri or Thomas or Emilia? If you feel like the platform's analytics can make a change for you as either supporters financially or providers of projects?
Gamification actually is becoming a very popular tool actually these days. That involves actually a lot of people actually actively into the problem that needs to be solved. So that means actually the educational institutions also should bring in these kind of changes and these kind of aspects. So we are also looking into some kind of actually when we have design issues, or when we have certain kind of challenging actually towards the manufacturing processes and all these things. Gamification is one of the challenge actually where you engage, is one of the interesting part actually where you engage a lot of people and then get the challenge sorted out. So people won't just feel that actually they won't get bored actually that gamification is actually something else then rather than doing the same thing today. So.
Yeah. Yes, Emilia, thank you.
Yes, and speaking from the entrepreneurship perspective, I think definitely platform economy, AI is a big trend within entrepreneurship, and it's driving, I think, data usage, business models in a way that's really exciting to look at. So I think there's a big space for that within both entrepreneurship research and entrepreneurship education. And gamification, I agree with Badri. We also at the moment co-funding a large gamification study within all of the business academies, where they look at the combination of gamification and entrepreneurship. So I think those two strands, I think it's part of the trends within entrepreneurship we're seeing. So definitely I would encourage that.
Yes. Thank you, Emilia. We are fighting several battles here: sustainability, entrepreneurship, innovation practices, and it seems like we might get our engineers a little bit overwhelmed. And this was the second part of the question from Niklas, saying that for the moment we are training engineers to solve problems within a set of fixed constraints and provide one particular solution. While if we want to tackle sustainable development issues, it has to be more on a systematic approach, and some would say on very, very early educational stages. So how can we train the students to manipulate such problems so that we can fit in this equation, the sustainability perspective?
I think it's a good challenge actually for the industry actually to be actively participating with the universities. And then second thing is actually, it's also very important the universities has to understand how the industry needs are today. It's not just only one end. It's a reciprocal aspect. It's both the ways has to be open.
But I'd also like to jump in with a quick comment here, right? The thing is that I absolutely agree it has to start out very, very early. And this is like, I have students in my sustainability course and I ask them all the time, which one is lighter in weight, like aluminum or stainless steel? And they know the answer. I ask them, okay, which one is stronger per unit weight? They'll know the answer. The next question I ask them is, okay, which one is more energy intensive to machine or to extract from the earth? Again, they've not even heard about this concept. And my point is that, of course, sustainability is a systemic issue. It requires collaboration, but unless the fundamentals are in place, when you learn the basics of engineering, right, you'll end up at a stage where you can't solve the systemic issues, because in the end of the day, when you come back to practice, it has to be rooted in strong fundamentals. And that's what, at least with this gamification, this project, we hope to do, is to build that engineering intuition for these things, so that they can then build on them when they go on to more complex systemic topics.
Thomas, Emilia, any comments here? It's a fight that we're all going towards. Yes, Emilia?
Yes, there's another perspective on this. I think also there's a great sort of trend as well when we look at the STEM disciplines, including engineering. This move to say, okay, we need more diversity. We need different types of mindsets and different ways of seeing innovation coming into the STEM disciplines, including engineering, because they will also do different things with the basic knowledge. And we have, for instance, are going to run a symposium next week on the topic of sustainability and STEM students and how to mix that up. So I think what we will be seeing in the future, hopefully, as we expand and as we make it more attractive for different kinds of students who find it interesting to work with engineering and who want to do different things with engineering, who want to change the world, who want to have an impact on the world with engineering, that they will use the fundamentals in a different way. That they will be attracted, for instance, to gamification, because it can offer different things for them. And I think that's also something that engineering institutes should be very open to, saying, how can we integrate the need of young students who want to do different things into our curricula, into the teaching? How can we open up our curricula? How can we be more innovative on what it is that we teach them and what they can do with that knowledge?
Yes, we are taking notes. Thomas, any last words?
Yeah, well, I think the key word here is actually the mindset. So as an engineer, if you're interested in trying to solve the problems of the world, and you have a skill set to do so, then there's a big chance you will actually succeed. And I think building that mindset in terms of being an entrepreneur or going out into the world and seeing the problems and understanding the problems, I think that's something you have to learn very early on, and not being tempted to just stay within your industry or within your lane and within the academic boxes that you are put into sometimes. And Emilia, you also talk a lot about the cross-disciplinary competencies and bringing them into play. So I think what we can do here in Aarhus and together with the university is actually try to work on some of our local challenges, and maybe that can inspire students to also see the opportunity to deal with similar solutions and challenges on a global scale. And I think sometimes we should start at a local level, maybe at a smaller scale, and actually deal with some of the local challenges that we have, and then we can start moving into the rest of the world and see what we can add to the global perspectives.
Thank you, Thomas. We are recording this, so we will come back to your office saying we need some of these cases in the game, starting locally, and then maybe other municipalities learn from it. Well, actually, the word mindset came quite a bit during the chat conversation. Badri was very good in replying to questions related to Grundfos over there, so thank you for that. And I know that we try to put the panel together that can cover different perspectives in this ecosystem, but definitely there is something that we can do as well. So if you could please last time go to menti.com using the same code and tell us how we should engage with you in the future as a higher education institution with a lot of ambitions to educate our engineers on sustainability. So while everybody is giving a comment here, I want to thank again Emilia, Badri and Thomas for joining us, and Dev for being honest and taking this on top of all your teaching and on top of all the research and the other projects that you're doing. So thank you for that. And we will leave this menti.com going. So whatever comment you have on the ways we should engage with you, please write it down, and then we'll try to keep it there. So Okay, now I would like to give the floor to Camilla and Runa, who are going to show more on research on sustainability and education in our engineering department. And Camilla, I'm going to make you a co-host so you can share your slides.
I think I'll be sharing the slides, Serena.
Then Runa, I'll give you that. Perfect. So, and to make the task a little bit more difficult for you, you have from 10 minutes now, 6 minutes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Thomas, and you said it too, Serena. The word mindset came up a lot, and that's something that we will be talking about. Maybe just a quick introduction. I'm Rune Tostrup, from an educational developer from the Science and Technology Learning Lab here at Aarhus University. And we support, among others, the engineering education. And Camilla?
I'm Camilla. Yeah. I'm Camilla. I'm currently research consultant at Aarhus University, together with Serena and Dev. We are working on a project that it was really fascinating, and I'm really glad for this webinar, because it all came together into what we will explain from now on, all into the sustainable mindset for engineers.
Yes, so a few words on the research opportunities we see in this game and in sustainability education in general.
So what as we've been discussing this afternoon, and from the beginning, we know that sustainable design and sustainable engineering are kind of buzzwords that are popping up more and more. It's emerging concept also, both in practice and education. But, you know, we still have much road to improve in order to facilitate the integration of the development of the skills and the development of competencies that lead to actual practice into the engineering curricula, and to spill out all these concepts into the job market and into real projects. We know as well very little on the nature and what lead engineers to engage in sustainable actions in a personal level, and what are the aspects that consolidates, again, the sustainable mindset into their practice in a day-to-day activity.
Yes, so there are a lot of questions here to both how to understand and consider sustainability as central to engineering students. Dev already addressed this, and how to develop and implement didactical educational solutions that would support this aim. And then, as we will talk a little bit about now, is also how we can do follow-up research on these initiatives so that we can provide the needed evidence to adjust and select the most suited educational solutions to support sustainability in engineering education. And we've mostly talked about this game, ØkoEngineer, as an education tool, and there are some important educational ideas that we know from educational research in this game, actually. Problem solving, the case-based learning element, and the peer the feedback loops and the peer feedback. Those are all things that we know from educational research that they work. And what we might need some more knowledge on is how do they work in a gamified environment, virtual environment as this. But at the same time, this is also a research tool. Dev also covered this a little bit, and Nicholas asked, we get a lot of data from this game. So there's a secondary purpose of the game as a research tool.
So we understand that, you know, the usage of this game actually brings a factor that is much needed in engineering education right now. If you think about integrating sustainability, that is creating this sustainable thinking into every single project, into every subject that engineers start to learn since day one. And, you know, it will create a new way of thinking and a new way of using their knowledge in fostering, in pushing sustainability into the projects that otherwise would be much more stiff, as I might say, much more cost related or engineering, like hardcore engineering. And my PhD was studying literally professional identity for engineers. That is basically how students and professionals develop this sense of belonging, this sense of recognizing themselves as being engineers. And the way that we understand it now is that sustainability is a primary aspect of the engineering professional identity. It's fundamentally there. As we develop technology, as we are technologists, we create the problems and we can also create solutions. So it relates a lot to the perception regarding the role that engineers play in society, how everything that we develop actually contributes or create further problems into social aspects, environmental aspects, and economic aspects in our society. And it also relates, how does this new way of thinking progress as a mindset between every attempt, between every project and every iteration that the students have in their educational journey. So one of the good questions that come from the game, from the utilization of this game, is how does this gamification elements and the feedback loop that it generates can enhance the perception of sustainability as a fundamental aspect of engineering practices, allowing the students to recognize themselves and other actors like the managers, the professors, the professionals in industry to be part of it, you know, and to also understand, to have a cohesive understanding of what is the role of the engineers and how do they play this role in our society.
All right. So if the sustainable mindset or professional sustainability being part of the professional identity of engineers is the desired learning outcome here. So how these, then we can talk about the feedback loops and the peer feedback as kind of the didactical tools that we are using to achieve that aim. And with the feedback loops, this means that the students have infinite attempts. They can do the certification over and over again, and they'll be provided with formative feedback, which means they won't get a correct or wrong answer, but they will be guided towards the literature or the video where they can discover the right answer. And then we will get data on how many attempts they use to get like the perfect score. And we will get data on the progression between the attempts. So how well, how do they use the formative feedback they use, and does the loops and the gamification actually, the number of attempts will say something about how motivated they are to do better and to gain more knowledge, and the progression will tell us something about how much they're learning. So the question here is, do the gamification elements and the feedback loops enhance motivation and performance, and does it support the acquisition of knowledge and on sustainability? The other didactic tool we're using here is the peer feedback. They can comment on each other's, they can help each other and provide feedback on the case problems that we saw earlier. And what we can see here is something on how much feedback, how actively do they engage in the discussions on solving the problems, the sustainability problems. We can also look into the quality of the feedback. Are they using criteria for sustainability? And one thing that we know from educational research or from research in peer feedback is that when students provide each other feedback, and especially criteria-based feedback, they learn a lot, and that supports the development of an academic identity. So this peer feedback element is quite important here, or so we think. So we want to see if this peer feedback element supports this acquisition of the criteria and thus enhance a sustainability mindset. And to be able to answer that question, we're probably going to need some additional data through interviews to get the more subjective experiences of being part of this game.
So this literally leads us to this new approach that is the path toward building up sustainable mindsets in engineering. We are developing a project right now, Serena, Dev, Rune, and I, on sustainable mindsets and how to develop this into education. We aim to understand how can we foster this development and how can we embed this new way of thinking into education of the engineers of the future, if I may say, with competencies that allow transitions towards a sustainable society. It will help us, this research will help us to improve courses and to identify opportunities that connect job market, connect industry with education, and also to expand research towards a more humanistic and impact-driven approach, which is a gray zone and is a new area into engineering research overall. So I will use this opportunity as well to invite all of you, especially the students and alumni, to contact us and to take part on this project with us. We are running interviews right now in the following weeks and months. So if you would like to be part of this journey with us, if you would like to help us to develop this further, please drop us a line and we will guide you through how to subscribe and how to take part on it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I think that was exactly 6 minutes.
Thank you, Camilla. Thank you, Runa. And now we have a call for action for everybody to reach out to you. And we know that it's almost 4 p.m. and we are a little bit behind the schedule, but this means that there is a lot to talk about sustainability in engineering. And we also know that it's going towards the weekend for us here in Europe, and already maybe for Asia, time for bed. But we have one more very important presentation from Susanna, our program manager at Aarhus University in the Climate Initiative. So Susanna, you're here. You can unmute yourself. I'm making you a co-host, and whenever you're ready to share your slides, please do so.
Excellent. Thank you for putting the last of the program. Very exciting, 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. But why not? And you're absolutely right. It's kind of important because I know Thomas from the municipality said we want to go out and solve problems in the world, which is great, but you should also look at the local challenges. And we do have challenges at Aarhus University. And the challenges go obviously also into how do we run a company? You know, the university is also sort of a company. We have operations that we need to look into, and how can we best run those operations with the lowest footprint. And I'm trying to show you my screen. Yeah, I think it works. All right, so just very briefly, what we're looking into is how can Aarhus University also reduce our own climate footprint? And even though you've talked about sustainability as a very general term, what happened here at the university earlier this year was that we decided on a climate strategy. So it's very specific, and if you talk SDGs, we're talking about the goal number 13, climate action, because that's what we realized we need to do. We contribute as a university and a research organization within all kinds of fields of sustainability, and now it's time that we look inwards and look at what do we do and how can we reduce our own footprint. So very briefly, we have a strategy, and the goal is that we within 5 years, a lot less than 5 years now, that we reduce the CO2 emissions by about 35%. And this is against the 2018 baseline, not 1990, like the government, which is also why the number is a lot lower. But we're aiming for neutrality in 2040, and we have no idea how we're going to do that. And that's why we need you guys as well. Yeah. So we have 4 focus areas: campus operations, we have transportation, we have procurement, and we have waste. And these are the 4 primary focus areas that we have in the climate strategy. And we just look briefly into it, you know this already. Some of the sub goals that we have in the climate strategy are things like this. And I highlighted one of them specifically because I think this is where you can contribute a lot. Experiment with new solutions to reduce the university's climate footprint and its campuses. And one word that is very obvious and is important throughout the strategy is actually what I put in parentheses is living lab. So we want to use the university as a case. And you asked for cases, Serena. Let's use the university as a case. Yeah. And wouldn't it be nice to be proud about what university do and what university can do and what we can do even with your help. So we want to make sure that different data, that you have access to, data that could be important for you, not just in the game, but in general terms, because we want you to help us along the way. We want both researchers, we want students, we want administrative staff, we want everybody to chip in and see how we can reduce the CO2 emissions. As there is one sub-goal that is about reducing energy consumption, that is definitely something that you can also potentially look into. And I'm sure, I know that some students have done different projects with some of the technical departments. And I can just say one example of one of the things we're actually doing is we're going to lower the temperature in the buildings at Aarhus University. So you might want to put on an extra sweater this semester. But that is actually going to reduce quite a lot of CO2 and money as well. Then we have transportation. So we're going to look into how can we increase the proportion of staff and students who actually commute to university in a sustainable way. I bet most of you bike if we're talking to the students, which is great. Maybe you don't do all the time, but maybe you have ideas of how we can support and encourage staff also to maybe bike, walk, take public transportation, or whatever we need to do. We have a very ambitious goal of reducing CO2 emissions by 30% on air travel, which is not hard right now, but it may be in the future. Maybe there are things and ways that you can help out as engineering students as well. Procurement is one as well. Prolong the lifetime of universities' purchases. Everything we buy, anything we buy basically, how can we prolong the lifetime? How can we reuse and refine and rebuild and whatever? How can we look at the life cycle and upcycle things as well? And that could be technical solutions that could be useful as well, engineering solutions that could be useful. So we definitely think that there are areas everywhere in the strategy that could be relevant and interesting if you want to look into more into that in your own studies or research. We have waste as the final one. We have a goal that says recycle 40% of university's waste. That is going to be a little bit hard, but it's a goal, and we are very ambitious. That does not just mean that you sort your own waste on campus, which is also one of the things we're going to do, but there's definitely more to it. than that. All right, that was a speed presentation because I knew I was in minus of time. Feel free to reach out. We have a sustainability network among students and employees. So it's combined Facebook group, and we have meetings. We have one on the 7th of October. If you're interested in sustainability and what we can do on campus, you're more than welcome to check out Facebook, hashtag AU Sustainability. Reach out to the general email, sustainability@au.gk. Again, I know nothing about research and education. What I work with is the operations at Aarhus University. Yeah, I think that was it.
Thank you, Susanna, very much. This was nice. And I believe it's a nice closing of the sessions for the day, because now all the participants that were joining us here, they know about the Aarhus University initiatives towards sustainability. They know about engineering department initiatives on research and education towards sustainability. They know our ambitions to include these research and education activities for the whole campus. And then, of course, we have some commitment from external partners to support this afterwards. So I believe this has been an interesting day for all of you. And we are going to close it here. So you've heard a few calls for action now, and you've seen some of them also throughout the presentations, to check out our partners, to check out our websites, and also reach out to the relevant contacts that you can work with or you'd like to work with. So please do that in the next couple of days. And I also would like to post a link here in the chat to all the participants who actually missed the sign up link. So then you joined up here because of somebody else's share of platform or share of links. So there is a survey that I just put here in the chat. And if we don't have your email and your name from the previous sign up list, then just please leave it there so we can share with you the slides and the rest of the material. If any of you is not happy with sharing the video on YouTube, also let us know. Though the most of the screen would be in relation to the presentations and the speakers for the day. Well, 5 years ago, actually, in New York at the UN summit, UN members put together the SDGs. We are doing our own part here with all the members on this workshop, webinar, session day. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe we could have been UN as well, seeing how many different participants we had coming from all over the world. So thank you to everybody. And for the last time, I'm going to ask to open your mic and your camera, just to give a big applause to everybody who was here and to wish you a great weekend. Thank you. Now you're free to your weekend. Take care and talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.